Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And most importantly, getting into the chat and letting us know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Obviously, by us, I mean me and Diluted. We just did a show over on his channel, so make sure you guys check that out after. And we're continuing the conversation here. I want to apologize for a couple of things. No, actually just one thing. I'm so sorry I didn't do a match reaction for.
I thought I was getting an apology for Sam. I was about to say,
No, not you.
yeah.
I didn't do a match reaction for the Newcastle game, mostly because I care about my mental health, and my brain was in another dimension after that game, and I just was like, whatever I say right now is going to be so bad that my channel will probably get deleted. Like, so
No, that's not good enough, Jess, man. Win, lose, draw, emotional.
I was so angry. I was so angry. I was like, I just can't do it. And like, now that I've calmed down a little bit more, like my thoughts are a little bit more smooth, but sorry guys. And I want to say congratulations to Ben White and his wife Millie, because they're expecting a child that just came out a couple minutes ago. So good for them. And hopefully when you come back, Ben, do not be like your captain, because I swear he had that child himself. It's crazy. But yeah, not great times for Arsenal. And I'll be honest, I'm not excited about the fact that they decided to be really bad in my birthday month. I turn 36 tomorrow, so yeah.
Hey, happy birthday. Damn, 36.
Yeah.
Don't look at it at all. No, I'm joking. You definitely look at it still.
I do look closer to my age now than I used to.
I was gonna say, you know what? You don't look 50 at all, Jess, man.
I know. I look young
no,
now.
I'm chatting.
But yeah, I think that, you know, we're in a weird period where there's a lot of reflection, a lot of projection, a lot of copium. And so I'm happy to talk to you, because I feel like you're pretty level-headed. I think you see things pretty clearly.
We'll say that again.
And, you know, if you guys didn't see the show that I did with Mo, make sure you check that out as well, with the show that I just did with Diluted. But they're talking to me about crisis stuff. They're coming at me about project is over. Does Mikel need to go? This and that. And so what is your temperature on the project? And if we win nothing this season, is it a failure? Is it something that can be resuscitated, you know, at this stage?
Okay, let's break that down. You mentioned the Project Rebuild is done. But yeah, man, again, happy birthday in advance, Jess, man. Make sure you lot are giving us super chats and smashing the like button and crushing them subscriber milestones. But the project, it was Project Rebuild when Mikel Arteta done his thing, in it. I would say that first year, 2022-23, I don't think we expected a Premier League title challenge. So I'll cut them that excuse. But you see, these last 2 years, it's been Project Win the title. That is all it's about. That's what the players say. That's what the manager says. That's what Josh Kroenke said. That's what they all said after the Everton game. So yeah, it's that. So, and we are failing. It is failing. Players are stagnating. The system hasn't evolved. We're an open book. We haven't, looked after the depth, found different ways of playing, found other players that can carry us. Because look at Man City. When they've won Premier League titles, I say them because we've got two players. Jesus and Zinchenko were never their main guys, but there might have been a 5 or 10 game period where they would play out of their skins, in addition to obviously the players they had that was performing for 20, 30 odd games. We don't really have that. So yeah, it is a failure if we don't win a trophy. And the Project Rebuild, that's done. Project winning titles hasn't done. We haven't gone back to the Holy Grail. We haven't had a great period during this Emirates era. And I know we've been here for around just like 20 plus years now. Yeah. I still say it. I don't think it feels like home. It will feel like home when I see a Premier League, or by God's grace, a Champions League. So failure on both accounts to answer those questions, man.
Yeah, for sure. The project can't just be in top 4, and nothing is guaranteed.
And projects have deadlines as well,
Yeah, I always felt like the idea of the project, and whenever they talked about it, I always felt like it never took into account when opportunities arise, and will we be ready, to take advantage of something, whether that's it comes early and we can buy a player that gets us over the line, or we're ready to do something before it's time. Everything felt a season too late, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just impatient, But I
You're
feel like people
36. You definitely ain't, and you supported Arsenal for the majority of your life. How?
I
There's no
know.
patience.
Yeah, I just maybe it's
It's almost
because
as
I'm
many
in
years as Moses walking through the desert in the Bible. Like, no, you ain't.
oh my
You've
gosh,
shown
you're
enough
turning
patience,
30
man.
soon and all these little
I
quips
wasn't even
are not
trying to send. I wasn't even trying to send for you. I was backing you. I'm turning
listen.
30 in April. Don't remind me, man.
Yeah, you're
I don't
turning
want to
30
join you lot.
soon. So,
I wasn't
yeah,
even trying to get at you. Damn.
yeah. But I
Why
think
always me?
I think the people forget about the failed top four race where I think we should have made that easily. I think in the last two seasons we should have won at least one Premier League. And
Last
so
year, 100%.
what I've always wanted to know, what is the roadmap? Where are we going? When do you think that we should be winning? Because the way that they
Well,
operate doesn't necessarily feel like they're desperate. And so, do you think there's just a sense of a lack of ambition? And where is that coming from? Because people talk about KSE and some people talk about Macau. Where is that maybe lack of ambition really stemming from?
the honest. I'm purely on ambition because I can criticize Arteta. I do think he's ambitious. My criticism for you is you've built the team the wrong way. We're going about it the wrong way. It has to be the owners. The minute we got, as we said on my platform, the minute we got back in the Champions League, spending on austerity measures, and don't get it twisted, I don't agree with it, but I can understand if KSC sat there and said to Mikel Arteta, "We've given you a lot of money, haven't really got too much bang for our buck. We're tightening the purse strings." But we've had Arsene Wenger during this Emirates era. Fair enough, Emre wasn't here long enough, but we had Emre, and we've had Mikel Arteta for the best part of 3 years now, and we've still not done what we've needed to do. As you said on my platform, and you reminded me of something that the Cronky said that I completely forgot about. I didn't buy Arsenal to win trophies. It will, if we win trophies, indirectly it'll be with them, but it feels like in spite of that, it will be in spite. That being said, that Kroenke's not an excuse as to why we didn't get the Premier League title over the line last
Yeah.
season. Or for me, last season, the main one. So I think it's all on them, and it has to be about trophies because let's have it right. Yeah, it's one thing to criticize the Premier League and all of that, going for the Prem and whatnot. Yeah, but there's been a lot of times Mikel Arteta has thrown away the cups. We've thrown
Yeah.
away a lot of cups. Maybe not so much this year with people are going to say it, but how many times have you sat there and spoke with content creators and we'll go out of a cup or the FA Cup? Bearing in mind, since we won the FA Cup, we've been poor. And they'll say, "Oh, it's good that we went out because we're going to have a congested fixture calendar list and it's more time to rest and bigger fish to fry and all of that kind of stuff." So we have no divine right to win trophies, but there's been times to win trophies. Like, yeah, it's a madness.
Yeah, there's definitely been times to win trophies and so many have escaped us. And I think I've always been a big advocate of winning the small ones along the way because I do think it
Amen.
softens the blow when you don't win the big ones. I think if at this stage we had won, a couple domestic trophies, maybe even a Europa League, I really do think the conversation would be different. We'd feel closer. But because you
Exactly.
can technically say that Arteta's had like what 20 opportunities to win a trophy and has failed to win any of those or maybe one of those in that time. So it's a really difficult one, and I think, Keith makes this, point that, like, so if we tried something different than Arteta, throw out a few names for contenders, or is Arteta the man with 3 more attackers? I'm
It's a
getting to
good
the
point.
stage where I don't know whether or not I think if he gets the attackers that it'll just magically come together because he's not even getting the most out of what he has now. Um, what side of the fence do you sit on this one? Do you think it's just maybe he's just outlived his whatever, or is it get him the attackers and it'll come together?
Football's a bit weird, man, in that, a year from now or two, if we win trophies, I might look back and think of tweaking. I'm not at that point of pitchforks for Mikel Arteta, but I think there's reasons if we put on the whiteboard why you could have been sacked throughout your time here and why you should. And I think there's reasons to persist with the man. I couldn't sit here and tell you, you sack Arteta, get this manager, get that. But that doesn't sit well with me. Keeping Arteta could guarantee success. Keeping, getting a new manager could guarantee success. And there's many different other possibilities. But at what point do you keep doing the same thing, hoping for the same results? If you do something on YouTube and it doesn't work, you have to try to do something else and then something else to
Yeah.
do something else. That's it. Sometimes, man, like that is it. And I do think clearly We all know we need better attackers. But at the same
Mhm.
time, Arteta's assembled the squad. It is all in your image. This, it's not like we bought 10 players in the summer. We've been quietly building the squad. So when I praise that your squad building and whatever, I have to use the same logic because we haven't. If Saka isn't there, if Saka is fit, better yet, there's not a player that is giving us the answers that Saka's giving on the left hand side. There's no one there for Saka not to, not if he needs rest and whatnot. Me and Jess still waffle about midfield. We still don't really have depth. The only kind of place we're somewhat comfortable is the defense, and that's being fully tested. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah. I think there was a long time where I was like, just get Edu out, because the narrative was very much so like he's holding him back. But the tide really changed for me with the Havertz signing, and how he had to convince everybody that that was the right signing, only for it to not be, which I don't think anybody really is surprised by that. And subsequently, we still haven't identified the right left center mid, and we also have not identified an attacker since then.
Exactly,
And
Jess.
yeah, so
Like
I
it's
can't
like
really blame just one person. Of course, it's Mikel, and I think the longer it goes, the more I think that Mikel it needs to be the cog that's removed. We should get the attackers regardless. The club should be improving the team, and this is where the structure really comes in. The club should have an identity outside of the manager and still be bringing in the players. And if a new manager comes in, they have the striker, they have this. But everything is built upon whether Arteta feels like it's the right time. And then Arteta's so in with the Cronkies that he's not even being aggressive about being like, I need this. Like, he's not even doing that. So it's like, there's just a lot of shit going
And
on.
then even that, just like even that, like, because not to disrespect Arteta or the Cronkies beyond my criticisms, but I do get the vibe that they look at Arteta as like the golden boy of the family. If they were his dad, they've been spoiling you, they've spoiled you, they've given you everything. You want another goalie, we'll get you another one. Zinchenko and Jesus, yeah, it's not his fault they stagnated, but we'll go and do that again. How many times do we keep addressing the same thing? So again, what if they sat there and they went, you know what, actually, we're not doing that now. We're not going to
Yeah.
spend. You need to show us a bit. You wanted I'm happy with Calafiori signing. There's a lot that he needs to improve at. But you could argue, what was the point of signing another left back? You needed a game change in midfield. And at a push, I'm not dissing Mikel Moreno because I think he should have arrived in addition to someone. But you needed an 8 or whatever in it. You needed someone with different qualities. You bought a similar midfielder. 1 year left on his deal for probably something that he shouldn't, that another club might have got a cute and cleverer deal. That's why, a bit like what they were saying on my stream, and big up you lot that have followed us over, and that you lot that are part of Jesse's community. One of you said the issue at Arsenal is multifaceted. You can't just look at one person. And I'm sure we're going to get onto the director of football, but when
Yeah.
you've got all these guys just growing into their roles and Arteta's influence is getting bigger and bigger, no one should have that much power. And with great power comes great responsibility. You need to be held accountable. I always say this. I'm not comparing Mikel Arteta to Arsene Wenger, but there's a correlation between when David Dein walked out of this football club and what happened, and Arsene Wenger going left and our fortunes changing. Arteta needs someone that can control him from the madness. And it doesn't even matter if that's the case, because they will need to bring in a sporting director whose voice is, they respect his voice as much as Arteta, which isn't it. Edu was clearly incompetent in many aspects, but I do think there was times Edu must have raised concerns. Even if you go back to the what's that thing, man? We was all watching it, like the documentary thing. I can't remember what they called it, but the Arsenal one
All or
where we
nothing.
all or nothing, where we saw Aubameyang. If you remember, and I'm not saying he was wrong to get rid of Aubameyang, but if you remember, yeah, the scene when they're in the office, Richard Garlick, I believe it was Richard Garlick and Edu, they're not actually on ripping up Aubameyang's contract. They're kind of thinking that they even say we need a player. Arteta wanted his way, he got it. So if you're getting all of these things, you have to be held to high standards. You can't say the manager is a great manager and then always have some reason and context and quote unquote excuse as to why we're not where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, anyways, man.
Yeah, 100%. And like, obviously, we're gonna get into the sporting director and some of the things that have come out about the like Edu. But I do want to point out that, you know, there's no other team in the league, in the Premier League, that should be linked to this player more than Arsenal. Now, we're not, as much as Arsenal fans, they believe their own hype. They believe the team's hype. This is a good team,
Very ignorant and snooty.
but Arteta in 2022, 2023, I believe, was coaching this team within an inch of its life and was making a lot of these players look maybe a little bit better than what they were. And they've come down to the mean. We lack true talent up front. And we're not in a just buy our Allison and Van Dyke. We're not there. We literally can use so many of these players. We're not just get Isak or nothing else. That is not where we're at. The amount of people that are turning the nose up to so many of these players, the Kvaratskhelia, the Nico Williams, these
Big
types
up
of
you for
players.
being able to pronounce that, man.
Yeah, it's insane to me. And no other team should be Newcastle have Gordon. Chelsea have Pedro
More
Neto
attackers than we can
and
count.
yeah. And Liverpool have Luis Diaz and Gakpo playing out of their skin right now. And the only team that's not linked to them is us in City, but City is getting Marmoush. Even as shitty as I think Kolo Muani is, he's being linked to Spurs. We're not linked to anybody. And there are like, the talking heads that are connected to the club are already doing, I expect a quiet window. That's freaking ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And there'll still be fans that are like, yeah, but Arsenal are smart not to go after anybody unless they're available.
There's your market opportunity.
Yeah, that's a market opportunity. Also, why are we not testing the waters for Barcola? If Kvaratskhelia is coming in, maybe they'd be willing to part with him. I would at least want to see us asking questions or putting in bids or something, but we're not going to do anything. Like, I could sit here right now and say, I know we're not going to do anything. Like, they're already drip feeding it to us and then doing Mbomo in the summer, so-and-so in the summer. And we're not going to get those players.
The cycle continues. The summer's going to be a madness, war chest, this and that. And then the fans are going to fall for it when they say there's no one available and we couldn't get this player and we tried. The only thing I would say is I hope that just because we're not linked doesn't mean they're not working. But as Jess is alluding to, and I think every Arsenal fan knows, there's a reality we sign no one because there's been markets, especially in January, when we missed out on top 4 to Spurs. Fair enough, it wasn't this dramatic, but there was times where in worse periods where we needed to act in the market and we didn't. Why would they? When on the face of it, I'm not saying I agree with this. All them stats from 2024, 1 loss in 13 games, considering all the injuries and all of that kind of stuff. Really? We've dropped a lot of points in games in the Premier League, but a good portion of them has been when we're with 10 men. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just saying they might overly think about that. All it takes is to hear some news from the doctor that Saka might be ahead of schedule. This one might return. That one might return. And we're not signing no one.
About Winery. They got excited about that. They saw him play that one game and they were like, problem solved.
See? We need to act in the market. We need to, but I'm not going to hold my breath. But I'm a bit more bullish, Jess, because I think it's got to the point, even though I'm with you, it's like, surely, even if you didn't want to, like, surely now, look how peak it is. Surely.
And we said this, that Arsenal are the only team on the planet that have one unattainable target and nothing else. They have Isak, no one else. Nico Williams, no one else. And that's it. We're the only ones that don't have a list. We're not flexible. It's like, well, Nico Williams is perfect. I couldn't possibly take a blah, blah, blah. It's like, and I just think it's an excuse not to do anything, but whatever. AMD, thank you so much for your super chat, says halfway through and maybe by some miracle we win something, but I'm just extremely upset and disappointed in our club. I want our owners to actually give a shit about the sport and being the best. Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of agree with that. That
I have to love Arsenal from a distance, man. Like for me, and it's hard, and I will suppose it. I would say that with Mikel Arteta, I've always loved. Definitely during this Emirates era, I've always loved my club, but there's been a point I can't get overly attached because it ends in disappointment. Mikel Arteta, there was a point where you was talking in press conferences and it was correlating on a football pitch. The fan base was getting more united. We're winning games. We're starting to see a lot of things. And now we've reverted back to type. He's bang on the money there, just like it would need to be a miracle. You need Liverpool to fall off a cliff. Simultaneously, you need Arsenal to go on some crazy sort of run, which we will go on a run ultimately when there's nothing to play for. It's a myth, man. It's a myth, man. Like, I hope and pray, but like, from what I'm seeing with my eyes, there's not a reason to be overly positive.
No, let's pivot a little bit to the Rosicky news. I know we kind of touched on it on your channel, but it just, you know, this is my personal tragedy. Like, because I know a lot of people were like, well, I was like, this is a really big opportunity for Arsenal to make a drastic change in a department that makes a huge difference to how you perform on the pitch. The coach and the talent, like the people that are identifying talent, are like, that is it. If those pieces are not good, something is going to be off.
Are they even being listened to at this point? Because there must be there must be some people that have been suggesting decent names and for whatever internally, and they've been vetoed. Like,
The lawyers that
yeah,
try to
like
say
you said on my channel, lawyers, just
yeah, the
lawyers, like
lawyers.
even, like it's, and what's gonna change really? Because if they are not promoted to have as much authority and a voice and a real big say, not just Arteta wants Kai Havertz, Edu, your job is to go speak to Chelsea, get it done. It's gonna be a myth. It's a bit like the manager, and so I think Boy said it on your platform. As much as I could criticize Arteta, make a case for him going or staying, if he did leave, there a guarantee that they would necessarily be set up for success with these owners? Don't get it twisted though. Maybe if you get another manager in a situation like last season where you finished off 2 points, they might have got us over the line. I don't know Rosicky as a sporting director. I wouldn't necessarily be against it. I can't say I'm for it because I'm pretty sure I can guess why you're against it, Jess. And it's because it just feels like the man them are just in the room together. It's just friends.
Yeah, and it's safe. And I think
Exactly.
we're very risk adverse as a club. There's a lot of numbers men and spreadsheeters, but there's no football men. There's nobody that can. I don't think if we needed to identify the next Saliba, we could do it with this group. I don't think
You
we could
probably could, but you're not going to get it done. Like, you're not going to get it done.
identify and bring them in. That is the best like talent that we've brought outside of Arsenal that we have. And Arteta, like, he inherited him. I just feel like there's not enough emphasis on the football. There's not enough on trying to play good, effective football. There's not enough emphasis on winning. It's not losing and not taking risks because we're scared for some reason. We get scared. We get a talent from outside the league and it doesn't work. So then all of a sudden it's like only Prem talent. If we need them to be certified in the league already, and then we're going to offer less than what that
And
club is willing to. Yeah, it's like I just can't. Yeah, it's just very. And with the idea of Rosicky coming in, just makes me think that they've basically put a fork in it. It's done. Like this was the last opportunity. Because as much as people feel like Arteta will get sacked at some point, I don't think he will. I think he needs to leave. I think he'll need to walk himself. The project is Mikel, which is something that Yo-Yo says all the time. That's always in the chat. They are banking on him becoming something special and carrying us through. And they are banking on his genius. And I just feel like no.
Are they even setting him up for
that?
success? Are they even setting Arteta up for success? As much as I can criticize him, like, you know, it's like having a talented footballer that you know is great, but they don't apply themselves in training, and you're obviously going to tell them where they need to go. Right? There's no point blowing hot smoke up Mikel Arteta's ass and saying he's the greatest thing. Are they sitting there and saying, Arteta, why did you miss out by 2 points? Why did you keep wanting other goalies? Do you think we have enough depth? Last season we didn't have injuries. Could we have learned and married our squad? I think they're thinking it exactly how you said it. It's like, you know what, we've struck gold. You know, this guy will give him just enough to keep ticking over. He'll get us Champions League football. He's got a good relationship with the son. Keep it moving. Like, as long as we don't fall off too much, I think they're all right. And maybe they're even scared of success. I don't think they're scared of success from a financial point of view. But the minute you're flirting with a Premier League trophy, the minute we're not doing anything to scream and shout about in the Champions League, but we haven't been embarrassed in it. Foot's off the gas. Foot's off the pedal, talking about the same things. And if you don't keep making progression, it's going to be regression. How many times did we sit here in the summer, Jess, and say this season, before we talk about signings and how it's all played out, we both said this is the year it either goes on a madness or it goes down, because there's been 2 years of progression. We're in that halfway house now.
Yeah.
We're seeing what we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Arsenal, I think, like maybe they are afraid of success. Maybe they feel like if you get too successful, then the fans will have too high expectations and then they'll have to live up to it. So stay in the project mode. There's a lot of
Because we
fans.
just want to win one Prem, but if we won the Prem this year, is there any guarantee we'll be in a fight next year to retain it amicably? I don't know.
A lot of fans are obsessed with the project. They like it because there's no pressure. You know, you're just excited about it. You're buying these cheap players and it's great. But as
Arteta's
soon as
changed
it's
my
time
life
to
as
put up and
well.
shut up, it's not there. Mark, thank you so much for your super chat. Says sweet JB, thank you. We will sign no one. I'm really upset with this club.
Stop
See?
being upset, man. Just love it from a distance, man. You know, as much as I can't really do that and all of that, I do always try and remember that in life you can only really get stressed about variables you can't control, and we can't control the football club, like which it
Yeah.
is what it is, man. I'm at this point now where I can't keep getting upset if I'm seeing the same things, and it's sad to
Yeah.
say that as a football fan because all you want is hope, regardless of what team you support.
Yeah. And that's where the apathy sets in. And I know that after this season, if we don't win anything, the apathy is gonna fully set in. I can sense it.
There's
Like,
always excuses, Jess. You're right. There's always some context as to why we haven't won a title or a trophy.
mm-hmm. Anthony, thank you so much for your super chat. Says, can we all agree that Arteta is exposed without Saka? Do you agree?
Yes and no. I think, you know, we've still won games without Saka. There's been times, even when Saka's been fit, that he hasn't necessarily played and we've done what we needed to do. But it has highlighted, as fragile as we are. You are right. We all know when Saka is there, he's bailed Mikel Arteta out 9 times out of 10. What I do think is he's exposed his and the club's naivety because away from the obvious, Saka is scoring, he's assisting, he's taking set pieces, he's a talisman, he's winning us games. He's our Mo Salah. We haven't got anybody that does even 50% of that. So it's highlighted the naivety of how we've built this squad. Of course, we're not in an ideal world. You want 2 players in every position. We're not going to have 2 Bukayo Sakas, but we don't have an amicable squad. Even Liverpool, fair enough, Origi's a cult hero, but across the season, he was nothing to scream and shout about. But when they needed him, he was there. I said it with City. How many times did you see at some points Zinchenko and Jesus, they'd be on the bench all year, couple points at 5-10 games a season. They're coming in doing their thing. We've got about 13, 14 players trying to compete over a league for 38 games. And then you add in all the cups. It's not sustainable. And you get into periods like now where you're playing every 3 games every 10 days, playing every 3 days.
And they look just flat and
I'm lost
just,
for words.
they're not, they're not locked in. And I've been saying that since the beginning. They just look like, I don't know if I have it in me to go for another title. I don't know if I have another failed title attempt in me. Some of these players have only experienced ending the season in some sort of negative fashion. And I just feel like, one, the manager never gets over it because he's changed his whole ethos around football based upon what happened in our first title challenge season. And he gets tight. He makes decisions based on fear. Like, he doesn't even chase games anymore. Like, when we are chasing a game, he doesn't take defenders off. He adds more defenders on or just switches them out. Like, I just don't know how these players
Just
are
Kai
meant to
Havertz
be.
with right wing against Newcastle.
Yeah,
Arteta.
I don't know.
What's going
How
on?
are they meant to be inspired? You know, how are they meant to be inspired and feel? I remember in 2020, 2021, one of the biggest conversations we used to have is if we go down, the game is done. And I think we won one game where we came back from behind, and that was against Wolves when they scored in the first minute of the game. And I think we had thought we were beyond that after we first challenged because we were response FC, stoppage time FC, you know, score 3 goals on you FC, attack, attack, attack. That you can't say any of that now. And that's on the manager to me.
I just wanted him to, for me with Arteta, just take the last 2 years, the attacking season, the defensive season, mesh and marry them together. We're gone. Add a bit more quality. We're gone. Because the wickedest thing is, Arteta, you've done the hard work, not the hard work because we ain't won the Prem, but you know, having a decent squad, getting rid of this player, people buying into what you're doing, changing your system again and again. You've done all the hard things. Now it feels like just the small, fine margins that will make the massive difference. We're not doing it. And unfortunately, you know, we're sitting here and we're talking about what we're talking about. Saying that we're still second.
Yeah, exactly. Blackgate, thank you so much for your super chat. Says we're gonna lose players end of the season, but let's do nothing in Jan. Arsenal FC, everyone. I'm tired, boss. Do you think we're at risk of losing somebody in the summer?
It all depends, man, because are we going to get Saka and Saliba's contract? You can lose someone at any time. I wouldn't say I'm worried, but the more that you are so close but so far away from winning a trophy, of course, naturally. Like, and I couldn't begrudge them. You know, I say Saka and Saliba in particular because all the players talk, right? But Saliba, every interview, I can't be known as the best footballer if I ain't won a trophy. I want to win trophies. Bukayo Saka's obviously different because he's homegrown and all of that. But he said himself, it's not nice to consistently come second. I've come second twice for Arsenal now. I've been in 2 Euros finals and not one for England. The appetite's there. And obviously, naturally, the players have something to buy into now. For the players that lasted when we was actually fully crap, they've actually had something to buy. You went into the last day of last season with a hope, small hope, but a hope of winning that Prem. Yeah. You have to. A career short, you know. Yeah, I couldn't begrudge them.
100%. And I don't think we'll lose anybody right this second. I think we'll have one more season of Saliba after this.
Who really though? Yeah, I was about to ask you. Obviously, I think we've got some good players, but who really, like, really and truly? I think there's, for me, I think there's two brackets. I think Saliba, Saka, if they were ever available and truly wanted to leave, pick of clubs. Below that, I do think the Gabriels, the Timbers, these kind of players could get moves. But generally, just who really could even entertain that? Like, I'm going to leave and win trophies.
No, and I think in particular, and I know that this is like soft factory, but I think a lot of our players are very comfortable on and off the pitch, and that's why they're putting down roots, getting married, having kids. Those guys were not at risk at losing. You guys know who those players are. We're not at risk.
You need to breed your girl, man.
Yeah, we're not at risk of losing any Odegaards, any Gabriels, but those young guys that can see themselves out in Madrid somewhere or somewhere else. Yeah. But yeah, it's part and parcel, which is not
like even comments like this, Jess, like this Jid guy, like this is the sort of crap I'm talking about. Like, I can speak for Jess's platform and her members, and likewise, we're being balanced. There's reasons to be optimistic, which we've said. There's also reasons to be negative. Don't bury your head in the negative. And right now, people are doing the copium. I'm well aware that, you know, we are second. We had the best form and all that jazz in 2024. We have one loss in 13 games. That's the first time we've lost at the Emirates since April. These are great. But you're lying to yourself if you cannot see the evident issues there. Nobody is losing their shit or whatever. We're asking fair questions. In the same way, had we have won all these games, done all of this, you wouldn't tell us to stop being overly positive. So what are we talking about? And if we are question marking a team that's able to play every 3 days, why haven't we got a squad with the ability to cope? This club sits there and says we want to compete in all trophies. Do we have a squad to do that? We're going to have to by default, but do we? Stop being silly. Like, stop trying to do the woe is me thing and I'm so smarter than everyone else. It's nonsense. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's not about dips in form. It's not about any of those types of things. I think that a lot of people just decide that anybody that has anything not overtly positive to say is just being toxic. The reality is that, like, 5 years and you guys talk about runs and stats and all this, we haven't won any trophies and we haven't won anything major in 20 years and we haven't won anything under this manager in going on 5 years. So the idea that a top level club, which you would call top gooners type people, feel like Arsenal are, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They feel like Arsenal are this top club that everybody should be emulating our project. For this, but they don't expect us to win trophies. And when we're not winning them, they expect everybody to be quiet. A top quality, if this was in the Highbury era, fans would not be happy.
Winners win and losers explain. There's, unfortunately for my football club, there's always some nuance and context around why we haven't done what we're geared up to. Do you really think a club is going to shatter its club transfer record for Declan Rice if they don't want to, like, if it's not geared around winning? The manager himself, the captain himself, they have said it's nice to have all these stats. We want to win silverware. Their man have said that. So I have to hold them to that. You can't have it both ways. You can't gas up the guy and then not ask questions when it goes left. Not one time has Jess or me said, fuck Arteta, get him out, do this and that. You can't have the rough without the smooth. Playing for this football club is a privilege. Putting that badge on and playing in that kit is a privilege. And all the talking points come with it. I do generally agree in that we lose one game, fans lose their shit. But come on now, man. Come on. Out of all the top six, we got the most stability, or have for the last few years. What we got to show for it? Don't stop the nonsense.
My caveat to this, Trini, is that I kind of agree with you, but at the top level, when you're going up against the Liverpools and the Manchester Cities and, you know, things like that, and you're in the most competitive league, 2 games, it could be a crisis. 2
We missed out by
losses,
2 points last
2
year.
draws can be the difference, because think about our last couple of seasons. Had we had not lost to Southampton or draw to Southampton and West Ham and Liverpool, we would have won the league. If we hadn't lost to Aston Villa at the back end of last season or to West Ham at home, we would have won the league. So, yeah, and not winning the league for Arsenal after not winning it for 20 years is crisis.
And
It
even
is
that, and even to
crisis.
piggyback on what Jess is saying, I'm not even necessarily saying it's a crisis. The manager talks about fine margins. There's many fine margins to win the Prem. We missed out by 2 points, and there's at least 5, 6, 7 games where we could have done better, and we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot this year. Of the 20 odd games, we've dropped points from winning position, or we dropped points in like 9 of them, and there's a lot of games we've dropped points from winning positions. Injuries are a factor, but last season we were quite clear with that. We had a clean run. We should have adequately addressed. There's always caveats. Everybody gets injuries. Everybody gets injuries. Everybody has to rotate. What are we talking about? Why do we act disingenuous and whatnot? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And I've been quite consistent. Whether we've won or lost games, it's the same old issues. And for me, away from obvious, to stop with this rant, teams don't have to be that good to beat us. Or when we have dropped points, they haven't had to play at their maximum. Newcastle didn't have to play at their maximum. We're Arsenal Football Club. If you beat us, you should be leaving that ground like, bloody hell, we got out of jail there.
Yeah, we were peppered, you know, this like we were defending like for our lives and stuff. I don't really think any team that's gotten anything from us had to do that. Like, I really do think that we're a soft touch, and we've gone back to the type of team that, like, those mid-table-y teams are really hard for us now.
Look at what my man said.
Tough for us.
Look at that comment. We played at 10%. You're seeing Isaac come off after an hour, and take nothing away from
wild.
Exactly. Take nothing away from Newcastle. They were competent. They were galvanized. They knew that. Don't get it twisted. One thing I do like with Arteta, teams do set up and respect us and are camped. Not that Newcastle did that, but they respected what they had to. They all won their individual and collective battles. The 2 chances that they were given, keep it moving. Let's take players off. We got a game in the Premier League at the weekend. You don't have to be that good. How many times have we lost this season or dropped points? Fulham didn't have to be that good to get a point. We shot ourselves in the foot. Brighton, yeah, it was a pen and whatnot, but did we really create in that first half? So can we please stop this whole Arteta coached the 3-0, he did this, he did that. It doesn't make sense. And even with the stats, Jess, people like to pick and choose which ones they want to use. It's a myth, man. Just stop being disingenuous, man. And that's all. You lot don't love the club. If you're doing the overly negative thing and you're doing the overly positive thing and you're not applying it that balance, you don't love the club. Silliness, man.
Yeah, there's you know, like Paul is saying, pause for thought. Man United are 14th. Are we really that bad?
Who cares about United, man?
And I was just about to say, if we're trying to find somebody worse than us to make us feel good about where we are right now, I don't know what to tell you guys.
Winners focus on themselves. Losers focus on others. So who cares about United? We don't want to go backwards. Who cares what's behind us?
Yeah, and Paul, my question for you is, are you confident that we go to the next round of the FA Cup in the weekend? Because that's who we play. We play Man United. They're a team that they beat Man City. We didn't.
We have to win.
They beat Liverpool. We can't beat, they drew to Liverpool. We're drawing to Liverpool. So that's not, to me, that's just not. And that's why it's frustrating.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's like, come on, you guys. Like, let's be serious for 5 seconds. But
be honest. And that's I must admit, that's one of the annoying things about being a content creator in the Arsenal space. There's no honesty. There's vested agendas. We're not calling it for what it is. Like, just be honest. And the thing is, yeah, why Arteta won't have any fair questions, because as much people, I have not once said Arteta out, but for as much people that have balanced opinions, say Arteta out, there's a lot of apologists. Forget online. There's a lot of Mikel Arteta wankers at games. Like, how dare you talk about Arteta? It's a cult. You support Arteta and your ideologies. You don't support Arsenal. And I'd say you lot are dishonest, because whether Arteta is the guy or not, do you not think he's sitting there and holding himself to high standards? Do you think he's not answering himself the questions that we're asking? Let's see. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, I think that when we're going through a negative period, I think it's more than okay to voice your concerns. And people have a hard time with that because they only want to hear positivity, even when things are not going well. This does not mean that when the game starts, I want Arsenal to somehow do badly so that I can come on here
No,
and
we
be
want to
and
win.
rant. No, I want us, if you told me right now that I would have to shut my channel down today, but we would win the Premier League, I would do it instantly. I would
I
never
wouldn't,
say
because
it again.
I'd miss talking to a lot of these guys, man. I
I would
can't
do
lie.
it. I would do it because I want to see our team win. Like, I want to see us win more than anything. So I think people need to stop thinking that every single person that voices concerns is some negative, toxic person. Like, it's really not that. We just want to win. It doesn't
Had we have
feel
won the
like
Premier last year,
win.
there's certain things I would
Yeah.
have said this year as well, like around the depth and the left hand side and the right hand side and this, that, and the third. And even though I don't want to, cry about two losses or two disappointing results, what I will say is it can become infectious. Same way you can go on a crazy run with just 1 or 2 wins, you can go on a loss. So let's just stop points at root cause. Fix the roof while the sun is shining.
Yeah. And like Foxy is saying, like, even stuff like this, like Jesus was in a good run of form and Arteta still found a way to shoehorn Havertz in, a player that hadn't played for, a couple of games. I just feel like he's not quite getting it yet with the attack. Like, he can't figure out a way to get a sustained period of time where we just look like ourselves. And this is the first season in the last 3 seasons where I don't even remember 3 or 4 games in a row where we played good. Like, good where it was unequivocal, we were good. We've gotten results, but we've had to squint to see whether or not we were
When was the last
actually
time you
good
saw
in those
double
games.
figures for Arsenal shots on target on a consistent basis?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
we're
yeah.
probably averaging about 3 shots on target.
Yeah, crazy. Would you take Ollie Watkins?
Bring him, man. Like, look who's up front. Bring him, man. Bring him. Like,
Listen,
bring him.
listen.
Bring
Yeah,
him. He's Arsenal fan as well, and I don't even care about that stuff. Bring him.
yeah. I mean, if you could bring in Ollie Watkins, move on one of our attackers in the summer, and then bring in another one, I would do that.
Bring him.
I would
Like,
do that.
listen, Ollie Watkins, whether we get them or not, it's the same names. Duran, Isaac. We're not getting that. Ollie Watkins, this one, that. Bring them. Bring them. Bring them. We need a killer up front. Bring them. And at least Watkins would stop scoring against us, to be fair.
Trini has a question. Let me ask a question. What are your short to medium term goals for Arsenal Football Club? That is the answer to the Arteta in or Arteta out argument. I think if you're basically what they're trying to say is if your short-term goal is to maybe win the Champions League or the Premier League, then you'll be Arteta out. But if you're just kind of just be a consistent top 4 team, then maybe you'll stay Arteta in.
I don't know about that, but this club talks about sustainability, sustained success. So how can so what we do what we doing here with that? Like what are we doing here with that? That don't make no sense. We've got stability. Like we want to win prems. The man himself, forget what Jess thinks, forget what I think, forget what you lot think. The man himself said we want to win prems. We're not happy with this, that. It's trophies. Allow it, man. Come on, man.
Yeah. I feel like that's what you were trying to say, and I understand that, but
That's gaslighting. Come on, man.
I do feel like I want the trophies now because I feel like this team can win something now. I think they can win something now. They've been good enough to win something by now. I saw a comment about Paul was saying we had the hardest start of fixtures, and I do agree that we've had a difficult start to the season,
100%.
but we're really struggling with teams that aren't even that good.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing is that like we seem to do, and I hope this continues. Just like on Sunday, I know it's FA Cup, but we seem to do all right against the top 6 or the away games that it's a bit tricky and techie. We seem to be all right. It's the smaller teams we're shooting ourselves in the foot against, man. Really, like it is the games that we should be winning, we're not winning.
Yeah, there's the Everton game really stands out as it just really it reeks. Fulham is a more difficult game, so maybe, but
Newcastle
still,
away.
Newcastle away was
You can't go
horrible.
St. James's Park and behave like that.
And also, both Brighton and Newcastle, we dropped points away, but they were in winless runs when we went to their spot. and shit the bed. So yeah, I get that people want to see a reason why, that outside of just us not being good enough. But genuinely, we're just not good enough right now. Like, it's just fundamentally, we're not good enough. Everybody is not lying about us. When I talk to rivals that are not just haters, they're like, you guys should be concerned. And I feel like we should be a little bit concerned. Maybe not throwing I'm not saying throw it all away, get rid of all these players and just start over. That's not what I'm
Exactly. Well,
saying.
actually, there's stuff to be positive about.
Yeah, but right now it's looking kind of like a mess,
Yeah,
but
if you can't win, don't lose. We seem to do that against the top six. The others, boy.
yeah, 100%. The details about Edu's exit, there was something that came out from Duncan Castles where basically said that Edu didn't want to give Arteta a new contract, but he got overruled and then he wanted to leave. I know Duncan Castles can be kind of like a weird source, it's not the best source, but does this not align with some of the narrative that's been coming out after his departure, that he did not have a big voice in the room? And do you think that's justified? Because some people feel like Edu is such a shit technical director that he shouldn't have had any voice in the room.
I mean, I'd rather Edu walked away than Arteta. But if we talk about like it's a collaborative thing, I think there's been times where maybe Arteta's been a bit naive with his trust in certain players and not addressing certain positions. Obviously, Edu. When you think of Edu as a sporting director, he ain't really got nothing to him. Like you're not known for finding like when you had Mislintat and Campos and all of these guys, people know them for stuff. Didn't really know you for that. I could understand, and like you said, Castles could be chatting nonsense, but it would be on brand. I would understand if Edu feels his voice is being overruled too much by Arteta, or it doesn't hold any weight, because I would think about what you just said, and I'd also think about I'm sure, and again, all of this could be nonsense, but I'm sure there was some report that came out that Edu was saying we need, and Arteta kind of said something the other day, we need a multi-club structure. Apparently, they didn't want to listen to Edu. So if you're at a job and you don't feel there's progression, or you're being listened to, and you've got my man that's saying you can control 6 or so clubs, you're gonna get gardening and leave. You're gonna do that, really and truly. Going back to what I said earlier, I do think though, for the Cronkies, if they probably never know who David Dean is, but if Arteta is your long-term guy, you need to find him a David Dean that, when he wants to spend 65 million on Kai Havertz, just pull him in a bit and say, yo, you know what, do this and that. We don't have that. There's a correlation between Wenger going a bit too crazy and David Dean leaving. He needs that, but we're not going to get that. They've struck gold with Arteta. Like, Arteta is from a personal point of view, I rate what Arteta's got. I personally rate it. You've jumped in at the deep end where this club was a mess as a first manager. All experience is good experience. You've got a new deal, and I'm not saying Arteta's like this, but if I get top 3, don't get embarrassed in the cups, I'm okay. There is some progression. For all of the criticisms you get in the media and from fans, it's like 50-50. You're laughing. And you could learn all you need to learn and go elsewhere. Respectfully to Arteta, he's a baby as a manager. He's got a long career. And my biggest fear is he F's off somewhere and wins something. Because I genuinely think at some point, I think Arteta is going to be a good manager, like a trophy-winning manager. But I only care if you do it at Arsenal. And I don't know if that's going to be the case.
I'm not... okay, so this is my other thing. This whole idea of like, well, if Arteta leaves, he'll win something somewhere else. Yeah, probably. But that's because he will have to face himself for real and change and improve. I don't think he will change here. I think as long as everybody's telling him, you're the smartest guy in the room, you know everything, we're going to follow your direction. If you want another goalkeeper, we're going to get it for you. If you want to persist with bad systems, he's going to double down on those decisions. I think like Emery is not the same coach at Villa that he was for us. He was weak. He was quiet. He wasn't really like standing on business. He would get rid of a player or like not play them and then have to bring them back in. Like, he's not the same coach. He had to go somewhere else.
To be fair though, like that's I agree with you with that, but like I think the club have backed Arteta in that regards with the off-field stuff a lot more. It's a bit like Amarin at United. Previous managers have tried to bad up Rashford. You are right though.
But yeah, Emery is not the same coach, and a lot of people are like, you should have just stuck with him. he would not be the coach he is today if he had stayed at Arsenal.
Or
And so
just Emery wasn't the guy for us. He wasn't.
yeah,
Let's not lie. Like respectfully to Aston Villa, great club, doing good things. Got a number of players I would love to pinch. Yeah, but they're not that Arsenal are expected to do anything. They're not expected to be where they're at in the table with those talking points. Arsenal fans and Arsenal as a club, we got that. United typically got that,
yeah,
and there's pressure. Emery's in his bag when he's doing the underdog thing. Respectfully to the guy.
yeah. I do think that if Arteta doesn't win anything, I do think it should be up for discussion whether or not we should keep him here. But I'm okay with him going, understanding that he's 100% going to win something somewhere else. Like, I'm okay with that as long as we get somebody that can help us do the same. I don't want to keep Arteta just because of fear. I think when you make decisions based on fear, you usually make the wrong decision. You should not make decisions in fear. You should make them in confidence. And I think we make a lot of decisions in fear, afraid it's going to be the wrong signing, afraid it's going to do this. Be confident, and I would be okay with him going. I just don't think he will unless he walks. I just don't see it. Moose, thank you so much for your super chat. Says, what scares me the most is Arteta it's the same issues every year. Need efficient killers up top. We need to take more risk and let our attackers free. Is that a concern too, that like we keep talking about the same things? Because I feel like we talk about the same things every year.
Jess and the chat,
Broken
you lot are smart enough
record.
to know my answer to that. 100, anything in life, if you, how much time you gonna do the same thing expecting a different result? Come on, Jess is almost 40. Come on, it's getting crazy.
We've been talking about this since I was 25. That's crazy.
Exactly. No, of course, man. And the thing is, yeah, it's the fact that obviously I'm a naive fan. There is an element. I've never managed, never trained and done what Arteta is doing. But it does appear like, forget Arsenal fans' thoughts. It's like everybody externally can kind of see what the club needs. A bigger squad, more bodies, someone to assist Bukayo Saka on the left-hand side, a striker. Many people won't say an 8, but me and Jess would. But I would say the ones I said before. So it's like the ones that do need to know and the ones that make the decisions, it's like they can't see it. Or if we were flies on the wall at London Coley, maybe a couple man can see it and they're not being listened to. Maybe Arteta, I don't necessarily believe it, but maybe you were on signing the striker and the money wasn't money. And I don't know. But yeah, man, he's bang on the money. It's the same old things. And it's like the games we've seen so far, Fulham, Everton. I'm sure if you like, obviously not Newcastle because Jess didn't do a reaction, but if you go through all of her reactions, yeah, not her streams, her condensed ones or them moments, I'm sure she's talking about generally the same things week in, week out.
Yeah, and that's why it makes it difficult to just focus. Like, obviously, when we do match reactions, we focus on the game. But I feel like when the patterns become the same and it becomes like I want to talk about different things. I don't want to talk about bad attack, missing these couple of players. I want to get those players and then have new problems. That's because I'm tired of this. Like, I really, really am.
Yeah, it's a quality thing without a doubt now. But then,
yeah,
like, even
100%.
the quality players, are they going to regress? Are we always putting their best foot forward? It's a quality thing, man. Like,
yeah.
it breaks my heart to
I
have
want to add
to
something to that too. I just want to read this too, though, because Moose, thank you so much for your super chats. And there's more too. Fear is Arteta's style is more worried about losing than winning, but the fan base is past that. I would be okay losing if we just tried and risked it.
No.
And I do think that I do want us to play like better brand of football and all that kind of stuff, like blah blah blah. But yeah, I feel like I get your point. I don't want to lose, but he just needs to find that balance between when you buy good defensive players, you should be able to be a little bit more adventurous with your football.
And these men are experienced. Like, I think people think football's too FIFA-y. Like, on a pitch, you can tell, like, if we're chasing a game, you could tell a fullback, stay high up, fly up, like what they do with Trent at Liverpool. But you could tell a centre mid, yo, listen, I just need you to be aware that the counter attack, these things can happen. These are experienced players. I think when you're going for a Premier League title, I do think they're saying if you can't, well, I thought if you can't win, don't lose. I think you can do that. But sometimes I do think that's with Arteta. I think it looks like if it was a boxing match, we're trying to take it to the judges. We're trying to jab. We're trying to have 1-2 punches. We never really go for the knockout blow. Maybe that's because of the quality. Maybe Arteta's been stung in the past. Maybe we just ain't got that in our locker. But that's what I feel, man.
Yeah, 100%. I do think Arteta's kind of scared to lose. I do think that, but
Even that comment, Jess. But by Bulgarian Guna, I hear that we have the highest defensive line in the league because Arteta's got defenders he can trust, and obviously we want to press high up the field. It'll be disjointed, so that don't really mean much when you're deep.
well, we have the highest defensive line in the league. One, because other teams are very okay with us having the ball. They
Yeah,
allow us
that as
to
well.
have possession, and in their half, knowing that it's very unlikely that we'll be able to break them down because our kryptonite is mid blocks and low blocks, but also that all it's going to take is one chance and they'll go down there and score. So this highest defensive line in the league is mostly a false sense of security and makes Arteta feel like we have control over the game, but you can only control so much.
And just naturally, that's how like what Jess is saying. That's how the game state is gonna go, man. That's how it's gonna
Yeah.
go naturally. Like if they're camped in their half, we're gonna gamble. I
Yeah.
just think Arteta has to find balance, man. Like and to kind of piggyback off Jess's point. So I personally like the fact of if you can't go down the right, go down the side. We're kind of patient. I believe across a 90-minute game, you have to have that. You can't just be gun ho from start to finish. Even look at Jurgen Klopp, how he kind of tweaked his football. But at the same time, when it's time to turn it up a gear and really get something, we're just staying and doing the same thing. Either players aren't promoted to be random or they're scared or Arteta, like it's the same old. The Everton game, just bang on the money. The Everton game, we're doing the same things.
Yeah. And there's really not a lot of evidence to suggest that because yeah, we have I think there's less examples of us going for it, really going for it, peppering the other team, not just the odd chance, not the one chance that we got and we missed, but absolutely peppering them. They come down the other side and just, we don't usually have that. Most times under Mikel, when we actually go for it, taking off a defender, putting on an attacker, peppering them, keeping them in their side, allowing Gabriel and Saliba to be on their own back there, there's more evidence of us actually getting what we want than the
And you've got
opposite.
Rice as well, you know. We were
Yeah,
saying holy triangle and all of that last year.
yeah, I want that back. And like Moose was saying, what happened to the magic of 2022? Free flowing, counterattack ruthlessly. All we need was depth from there. And I think it got in his head. I don't even think we needed depth. I think we needed upgrades in certain positions. But I hear what you're saying. Like, we just needed to add on to that. We could have kept playing that style and just tweaked a couple of little things. We didn't need to change the whole thing.
As I said, for me, married the defensive aspects from last season because they're the hallmarks of winning a title. And what Jess and the super chat's talking about defensive, offensively, sorry, marry that together, we're gone. I think we've gone the other way. I think Arteta's shown me a side that's quite naive because as much as we talk about that free flowing season, there was many games put it to bed in the first half, knife edge in the second. Last season, obviously, when you win, nobody really cares. It's just that balance that's needed, Arteta, man. Just the balance. 1-2 upgrades to the starting 11, look after the squad and get more players so we have depth.
Yeah,
And we could
give
do
yourself
something, man.
actual wiggle room, Mikel. Like sometimes I want the club to give him a little bit more so that when he has these periods of, you think with a more experienced manager, you could deal with a squad like this because they would have the answers. Arteta doesn't have the answers because he's young and not, kind of like new to the job. So I just feel like you would give him more so that you have wiggle room to make those mistakes. And then you have a striker to kind of just paper over the cracks, or you have those types of players that can bail you out. We did the opposite. We go in with the bare minimum skeleton, players that aren't clinical, and we say, okay, now, guy with no experience, be perfect with that. Because that's pretty much what's required in the league is to be damn near perfect to win it. So it's crazy. AMD, I wouldn't say Arteta is a man-child, can't adapt or no fluidity. I would just say,
Yeah, I think that's harsh.
yeah, I think he's lost his way a little bit. And yeah, not
Arteta,
sure.
I'm sure you speak to not necessarily managers like Pep Guardiola, but I'm sure there's previous managers or I'd say mentors. Chat to your mentors, please, man. Just chat to your mentors, man. Because sometimes you need to look outside. Just find this. There's so much to like about Arteta. And like as much as I'm moaning, we're in a better place. That's why I'm so jarred, man.
Yeah, I think that's I wish like under Emery, to me, it wasn't like this. Like under Emery, it was just,
firing, man.
yeah, I was like, get him out. Like, I don't care. He's not the right guy. Like,
And,
whatever.
and you're right, because I don't want it to get back to that because I used to go to a lot more games during the Emirates era, during the Emirate era, and fans, we got into this weird space where it's like we've mentally checked out. It's just a vibes. We're watching football just to vibes. Like we're losing games. There was a run, yeah. I'm sure I can't remember the teams, but we definitely played Crystal Palace, Southampton, like them kind of teams. They were clustered. And like we were just losing or dropping points, and people didn't care anymore. There was no scream. You know, when you get to that stage in life where there's no screaming, there's no shouting, there's just emotion, and we're just existing. We're not there, and I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, it's coming, that's for sure. Because when I'm watching the games, I'm like, this is so hard to watch. This is just too hard to watch. SA, thank you so much for your super chat as well. Pick up Justin DG. How do we buy a midfielder, Kai? Put him up top and still need a midfielder and a striker. Dark. Anybody could have told you that the Kai Havertz signing was not a good one. He's a nice guy. He works hard and all that kind of stuff, but he didn't solve any of
You
our
can be
problems.
part of the squad, but we need an upgrade.
Yeah.
Like the strongest 11 in an ideal world, respectfully to Kai, you're not necessarily in that. Unless I wake up and you're the midfielder I've been looking at.
Yeah. And then, like I said, there's still people that feel like there's just no way that he could get. I hate you, KG. I was like, what? There's just no way that, you could justify him being a starter when we actually improve. Like, there's just no way. And I remember tweeting you about this. You said Havertz has been a success. This is another problem I feel like with the fan base is that no matter how good he did at the back end of last season, he was never the right signing, and he's created more problems than solutions.
Yeah, and it's not even and when Jess says that, don't misunderstand her, because there's going to be someone that says, "Oh, you said Kai Havertz is the issue." It's not Kai. Kai has done all he can. 9 times out of 10, Kai, whether rightly or wrongly, this might be the problem. I actually think Kai is one of our more consistent and reliable players and stands up to be counted a lot more. The reality is, as Jess said, the wages. I don't care how much a man gets paid, but when you have to sort out new contracts and bring in Nico Williams, allegedly, they're going to want to be that. Kai Havertz is not in our best starting 11, whether it's up front or in midfield. And I guess from a business point of view, I guess Arteta's got to justify Kai starting, because we got to remember, football's a business. Sometimes managers playing because they got bought for big money and the owners are looking and they want to see what their investment is saying. So, man, the Kai thing, it's a madness. And it's not, and it's sad on Kai. It's weird, because would I say he's a success? Yes and no. I would say you're a success because I've just said all these good things about you, but knowing that, I just don't.
Our bar for success is incredibly low.
You've exceeded expectations. Success, I'm madness.
Yeah, he came in to replace Granit Xhaka, and the ripple effect from that has been crazy because Arteta started off last season, again, unprovoked, with Partey at right back. He didn't have to have that because Tomiyasu was on the bench and Timber was available. His idea was to go into last season with Partey at right back, Declan Rice at the DM, and Havertz at left center mid, and Odegaard on the right-hand side. And it didn't work out. The ripple effect from that was he moved Havertz up front, and he did well enough where the club got arrogant and thought that they can go into next season. It's also had a ripple effect on our midfield because Arteta's still very reliant on Thomas Partey. And in that, we have Declan Rice playing left center mid, and he doesn't suit that position, not in the way that we need him to. He can do a job, good enough player, but your £100 million player, your marquee signing, no matter if you like him or not, we should not be saying he's doing a job. He should be perfectly in a position that suits him, and we should be building around him. And if we're not, it wasn't the right signing. We shouldn't have made it. £100 million for Arsenal is not chump change. It's not the type of money that can just go wasted. We spent £200,000 in a window, and we're not sure if we got any better. We changed our goalkeeper, we changed our striker, and we changed our left center mid, and we still have the same questions that we did leaving that first title challenging season. So Havertz fundamentally can't be a success. He can be better than what we initially expected him to be based on a very low bar, because no one said going into that season that we needed a second striker. That failed at Chelsea. Nobody said that. And no matter how much you like him, it's not right. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. So yeah, but yeah. And if you do the more goals, more points, more solid kind of argument, then it's just, we got different. We didn't get better because we didn't win anything. So yeah. But yeah, you guys, we're running over and it's lunchtime and I'm hungry now. AMD, well, let me read this
Yeah,
because
man. Don't this to super chats. And
um
everyone say happy birthday to Jess for tomorrow. Make sure she does a birthday stream.
oh my gosh. Ah, okay. AMD says, was a big fan of Arteta. Honestly, I was, but I can't just watch this guy down to and literally change nothing. I was on the fence, but now I don't know. I can't see him winning anymore. Thought he had what it took.
I think we're all asking ourselves that question, man. Naturally. Like, I'm sure Arteta and the boys are asking that, but at the end of the day, you know, I'll be real. Just got to stand up to be counted now, man. Just have to stand up to be counted.
You think they are questioning him? Just real quickly.
I'm sure the players are questioning what they're doing. I'm sure Arteta's questioning himself. I'm sure everybody, just because of the climate. We've got to. This has got to be. But now's the time to stand up. We're not going to win no trophies, but let's delude ourselves to believe we can. Because at the end of the day, the season's still on. It ends in May. We're in January. The past brings regrets. The future brings uncertainty. Live in and immerse yourself 100% in the present moment and fix up, man.
Absolutely. And this is the last one because I'm hungry. But Abel, thank you so much for your super chat. Says Watkins will want more game time. So short term, he makes sense for Arsenal. We can easily get Mbomo, Semenyo, or Delap combined for 80, 90 million. Arsenal are just not going to spend that money. Ornstein already
Bring
did
Mbomo, man.
Yeah. I mean, Arteta already kind of did the whole, or not Arteta, Ornstein did no, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But I think
AMD, man.
That's really, really sweet. Thank you so much. You guys know it all goes to the coffee fund because your girl has an addiction.
Buy something nice, man. Always the good man's basically 100 quid on coffee. Get something nice, man.
Nice.
Get yourself a new walking stick or something.
I know, my little walking stick. I'm probably more fit than you.
Cat. Just come on.
Let's be serious.
How long do you run on the treadmill?
I don't run on the treadmill.
All right, then I run for 10 minutes. So I was gonna, I
thought
I was in trouble.
Big 10 minutes.
I thought I was in trouble still. I thought you do strike me as someone that runs on the treadmill and goes jogging and all of that, but yeah.
No, I don't do that.
Yourself, man.
No. I just got a nice new membership to a really nice gym over here. That's been
How long are you gonna keep going to the gym? Are you actually a gym goer or was it my New Year's resolution? Are you one of them? Because we hate you lot in the gym.
No, I am a gym girl. I actually do like the weightlifting and all that kind of stuff. Like,
hey,
serious. Like,
hey, pick you up for that. Shout out, Jess.
Okay.
Pick up on.
Yeah, but AMD, that's really sweet. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, I forgot what I was saying, but I love you guys down. And because you guys are so sweet, I will do a birthday stream. So I will come on here tomorrow and talk to you guys.
Make sure she's drunk as well, man.
No, it's your birthday. You need to dry Jan.
Fuck that. I hate that stuff. It's your birthday. God forbid, but you could die the next day. We gotta live life. Pour up the rare left. You don't even have rare left out there.
I don't be drinking.
Damn. Party people.
I don't get drunk, so yeah.
Get a nice little wave. Get yourself white rum and get a little wave going.
I'm not really a rum girly.
Oh.
I'm really.
Well, get something, man. Damn, just get something.
I'm like an old-fashioned or a glass of champagne type of girl. So.
Yeah, I hear that.
We're bougie around here. White rum.
Yeah, we don't forget where we come from, man.
Coke around here. We don't do that.
No. It's just straight white rum, man. I don't really like chaser, man.
Yeah, for sure. But guys, I love you down. And yeah, I'm sure that you guys will probably want to talk more because obviously like a lot has happened. So yeah, I'll definitely come on tomorrow and do a little stream with you guys and we'll chit chat more about this. But make sure you guys go to Deluded's channel as well. We did a show there and we had loads of fun. We talked about basically some of the same stuff, but like some different stuff as well.
Arsenal therapy, man.
Deluded shows are more structured. Mine are just like, let's get on here and just like vomit.
You reckon? I think they're the same. You reckon? I don't know.
I just be talking about whatever. I don't ever have like, I tried an agenda a couple of times and I was like, no. Let's just.
I try to just gauge what people talk about. Like I'll be honest, half the time I go on your Twitter and just look at talking points. Like, what has she said? How she feel?
I know, seriously. But it really was nice to get on a show and not have you try to talk to me about Martinelli and Jesus. This was great. I love going back to normal.
Now, sometimes we have a laugh and a joke, but like considering this climate around Arsenal, it's just serious business.
Considering
I'm
the
dangerous
climate.
because if Martinelli scored, yeah, you wouldn't have been spared there. But
yeah,
I actually thought he was going to score against Newcastle.
You thought the ball was going to go in the back of the net? I tell you,
I'm still getting bantered and people in my mentions with my watch along because I said we're here. This is our time. Like, more for me, innit? That guy must really be
There's
deluded.
not a single thought in my mind that ball was going in the back of the net.
Martinelli, I can't back you no more, man. You're my guy, but you're shit now, man.
And honestly, I think Raya is the only player that I think could go down there and put in the back of the net. I don't trust anybody anymore.
I don't say this, but I'll be honest. Raya looks like our most progressive footballer right now, excluding Partey. Like, and even Raya's starting to move a bit. Him and Saliba are looking a bit because they're teammates.
Yeah, they have little moments, you know, but they're still more consistent than everyone else. I really need like Odegaard to get it together. I can't back it anymore.
Odegaard, like the Newcastle game was the first time. Yeah, bro. It's like tough. You're hiding. Like you hid, and you're not alone, but you hid. You hid for me, and I love Martin Odegaard as you do. But
when he's on, he's great. When he's off, oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, you guys make sure you like and subscribe on your way out. And if you guys have any comments afterwards, you guys can always, comment afterwards and let me know what you guys thought about what we talked about, especially if you're watching on replay. Go back and watch the show that me and Deluded did, and then also go watch the show that I did with Judge Mo. That was really fun. They're great over there, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all the birthday wishes, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.